But Hashdex and the NASDAQ US crypto ETF has filed with the SEC. This filing will allow them to directly invest in digital assets like XLM, XRP, Solana, and Cardano. Now, this proposal was put forth Friday, if I'm not mistaken, but this is an extension of what they initially put forth to the SEC back in March. This is a proposed rule change that will allow them to not only be governed by the commodity backed trust rules, but it will include digital assets as well. Because the only reason that they can hold Bitcoin and Ethereum directly is because, as it stands right now, they are commodities. Just those two. I know a lot of people in the XRP army will argue me down. Will argue me to the ends of the earth on that note. But on paper, Bitcoin and Ethereum are the only two commodities. They are proposing a rule that will allow them to include digital assets into their governing rules. So there'll still be the commodities backed stocks involved or the commodity backed rule, but they will also be able to abide by the digital asset rule. That digital asset rule will allow this Hashdex ETF to, as it does with Bitcoin and Ethereum right now, invest directly into Stellar, XRP, Solana, and Cardano. Now, I'm not saying that that is going to have a monumental impact on the price, but what it does, it brings in more institutional interest. And if they can get a rule change like that over the SEC, you can guarantee other companies are going to follow suit. You can, and it will also show that the SEC is now beginning to change how they feel about the entire digital asset situation. So that opens the door definitely on the institutional side. And currently, I want to add this too. The problem is how they're doing it now. They're holding Bitcoin and ETH at particular weights to represent a holding of the altcoins. That is very risky because you can't fully guarantee that Bitcoin and Ethereum's price performance will match the performance of the other assets in the index. Solana could outperform both Bitcoin and Ethereum, and now your weights are off. They're looking to they propose this rule to address that problem. If the SEC approves that, we could see a new era of exchange traded funds centered around in kind digital asset investments. In kind means that it's not a dollar for dollar transaction. It is a dollar for crypto transaction. It is a fiat to crypto transaction, which opens the door for more opportunities for companies who specialize in crypto to fiat transactions. That's when the ETF market will begin to have a real impact, a positive impact on the space, because ETF issuers will then be able to directly invest in the assets that they want to build these ETFs around. And that's when the big money will come in. The real big money. All right. Now, I did look this up as well. This is the other holdings for the index, the other assets, like I mentioned, Cardano, Stellar, Litecoin, Chainlink, and Uniswap were the ones that I didn't mention. But the SEC has until November to make a decision. If they make the decision, Hashdex will then be allowed to invest directly into Solana, XRP, Cardano, Stellar, Litecoin, Chainlink, and Uniswap. This will bring a lot of institutional attention directly to these assets first. And that's actually very fitting, the timeline here, because we have observed that October, Q1 of the federal fiscal year, tends to line up with when Bitcoin likes to have its pumps. The crypto market likes to have its pumps. We've done the math on this. If this news does hit in November, or we're entering October and we hear rumors that they're going to approve this, I guarantee you all 9 of these assets are going to pump, including Litecoin. Yeah, Litecoin, right? Don't nobody sleep on Litecoin, folks. But what I see happening here is they get this rule change through with the SEC, and it's going to cause a domino effect in other ETF issuers, because now we're not playing the cash create ETF game anymore. We're playing the in-kind ETF game, which means there will be direct institutional investment into these digital assets. So we need to be rooting for Hashdex. We need to be rooting for Hashdex. Now, like I said, guys, before we get out of here, I said this earlier, crypto ETFs are an easy way for you to enter crypto, the easiest way for you to get involved. And now that the tone might change towards ETF issuers being able to directly invest in these digital assets, that will make incoming investors a lot more comfortable knowing that even though they're investing in an indexed ETF that is supposed to represent the value of these digital assets, they know that it's actually holding the digital assets that the value is supposed to represent. That would make that a product, that investing vehicle, a lot more attractive, in my humble opinion. So with that, guys, of course, don't forget to check out the official DHN Research Library. Pick up all the educational content you need to be a master at the blockchain space. And other ways to support the channel. If you need a crypto exchange, I'm going to point you to Uphold. If you're looking for a hardware wallet, SafePal is your guy. And if you're a trader and you want to add an AI edge to your analysis, look into Intellectia AI. And then at the end of the day, folks, if you want to rock the swag, yeah, we got the merch section going as well. I got a pair of these joggers on the way. I know it's the summertime. I don't care. I'm rocking them jimmies. All right. They embroidered. Okay. Are you serious? I got my last embroidered hoodie. The one that says, if the money is digital, so is the hustle. I've watched that sucker several times. It ain't faded. The stitching ain't came out. Listen, spring, Teespring. Y'all doing some things, man. They changing the game for YouTube merch. But with that, that's all I got for this one. Again, I hope you had a blessed weekend. And if you made it to the end of the show, drop DHN down in the comments so that I know who's rocking with the kid. And with that, y'all know what time it is. If that money is digital, so is the hustle.